do that. Welcome to our next practical AI masterclass. This is a Wonder Lab. I like to call it a Wonder Lab because we come in live, we understand where people are at in terms of their levels and understanding with AI, and then we actually play together. Why a Wonder Lab? Because if I just got you guys in here and said, here's how to use AI, it's not very human-centered. And I'm absolutely obsessed with human-centered. I want to meet you guys where you're at and show you some amazing tools and some different applications and start you on your journey to get really comfortable using AI. This is a no shame. I want it to be something that people feel really comfy, cozy, and safe coming into because AI is here to stay. That we know. And you all need to start using it. Even my mum rang me up this morning and said, okay, Sarah, I'm going to start joining your sessions. I think I need to get into this AI thing, which I thought was fantastic. So I really want these to be practical. That's why I call them a practical AI masterclass. The whole point is you walk off this with a, oh my God, I didn't know it could do that sort of moment and a little bit more confidence to apply it into your everyday. Okay, so like I just showed you guys that little example of a guy who took a photo of his lounge room and said, what do I need to do to make this tidy? That's a beautiful use case, a beautiful example. My husband the other day took a photo of the fridge and actually said, what could I cook out of the ingredients that are left in the fridge? And that those two examples for me, oh, they hit me in the heart because they are great examples of how you're using AI, but they're also really good examples of where we're using it to reduce cognitive load in the household. And I won't lie, I absolutely love and froth over when people are using AI to reduce cognitive load because AI should never replace you, but AI can be your bestie. It can be something that can really help you and it can extend your reach. And if we're thinking about it that way, we don't need to be afraid. We can actually grab it by the antennas, make it our bestie, and help it extend our reach. So if anyone does have anything that they're working on at the moment, they can let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to make something up. Okay, looking for an agent that can scan designs in a Dropbox where you have an interface like GPT. Mm-hmm. Ask things like, show me, oh, the Yellowstone. Yeah, yeah, cool. Okay, a visual scanner. I like that. And then Lisa, I don't have a real life situation right now. Would like to learn how to integrate it into every day. Okay, cool. These two are good steers. My absolute favorite to start with is I've got a few, but I've spent a lot of time with GPT. Sorry, my daughter was watching a YouTube short before and it just came up then on my thing. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and we're going to do some tool surfing. Now, tool surfing is my absolute favorite term when it comes to AI because actually what I want to teach you guys to do is to use the different AIs and to actually, here we go, as a background, go for it. This is the beauty of technology, by the way. We get all hyped and excited about it, and then it still needs a password. Oh dear. Wants me to quit Zoom to open my screen share. I've just got a brand new computer, so I'm actually just going to do it this way. Okay. Can you guys see my chat GPT? Oh, amazing. Okay. So my three favorites, I'm just going to quickly open them up. ChatGPT. I do love Grok. Grok. It's not a political thing. It's a usability experience. Claude, Gamma, Napkin. These are a few of my faves. So these would be probably the ones that I would like open up if I'm going to do a bit of tool surfing for the day. Oh, I might open up a Canva as well. If I had a Dropbox, I'd probably be putting that into my drive. My drive has become like a super brain for our entire operating system, and then Notion is the other one, which is, and you'll see it's a pretty intense sort of thing. So as I'm tool surfing, I'll be going through various kind of spaces. So if I'm starting at a chat GPT, if I was going to create something that was searching imagery, I would put all of my imagery into the drive and then I would actually get it to search the drive. I know that Dropbox has probably got its own AI coming, as does obviously Google. So Google Gemini is able to summarize all sorts of things within the actual Drive now. So I can go in there and I can actually ask for various things. In the past, I might be looking for any of the video content that we've done from any of our events, and that will come up that way. But to your point, if I was looking for yellow imagery, that wouldn't necessarily work. Yeah, that's not going to necessarily work. But if I was going to hook it into, we'll just see what happens. So please search my Google Drive for any yellow imagery for a poster. We'll just see what that sort of does. And sometimes this might take a little bit of time. The thing that I'm showing you here is that the best thing that you can do when it comes to AI is open it up and ask it a question, because you're either going to get the answer you want, or you're going to get something else and you're going to realize that you need to ask it another question. But what I wanted to show you is that actually, when figuring out something like, can I search my Dropbox for imagery? That's a freaking awesome use case. So great, because you've got something that you want to solve for. And what you want to do is run a series of experiments to see if you've got the right tools that can access that in a way that's going to make sense. So let's just see what this does. And in the meantime, actually might go to Grok and do a little bit of research. Um, I'm a big fan of using Grok for research. Perplexity is also really, really good. I've just found that Perplexity and Grok will give you better references than, say, um, even the GPT research functionality. So I'm actually working on a book at the moment called Middle Age Brain, because I was really fascinated about what started to happen for myself as someone who studied neuropsychology, and I've been working as a mindset coach for many, many years. I've done lots of stuff when it comes to behavioral science and psychology and the brain. And it really fascinated me what started to happen in my own brain when I hit perimenopause. And I was like, maybe I'm not alone. And when I started to talk to other people, they sort of mentioned similar sorts of things. So I actually went into the deep research part of Grok and just asked for journals, peer referenced reviews and science papers on differences in middle age brain, explore what hormones, culture, any neuro, science changes, something like that. I obviously spend a bit more time kind of thinking about my PhD style question. So it will now go off and find me some references. So let's just come back here and see, okay, we've searched our Google Drive to see if it's got anything, and then does it want to? I mean, it's not exactly what we're after, but at least it's gone and had a look. Look for common image types and then filter by yellow tones, or if you're happy to pivot, I can create a few on-brand yellow poster backgrounds for you now if you want to do that. So it sort of just starts you on your journey of discovery. Now, one thing I would say is, as someone who studied design thinking very, very deeply, the way that I use AI is very much aligned to a 4D cycle. So for those of you who are new to design thinking is about following a 4D cycle to solve any problem. And it starts with discovery, and then you define the thing that you're actually going to solve for, and then you start developing, designing, and then finally delivery. And those four simple Ds take you through a pretty simple process to get shit done, to make magic happen, to find solutions. And so what I would say with that particular problem that you framed is that that's the presenting problem to solve, and that we're in discovery mode. So we'll run a series of different experiments until we define what's the actual problem that we're trying to solve. The actual problem, just from where my brain is sort of going now, is that you've got images and an image library that requires categorization so that it can be searched for future usage. And actually what you might find is, if you go to seek to solve that, there's probably a different tech platform that will actually review your Dropbox, sort files, store. Then you could potentially put that into your Google Drive and have that for access for a different sort of future state, if you like. So as you go through the process, you might actually uncover a little bit more. Um, I love this AI tools for the next holiday. Um, and yes, Colleen, I know that the Dropbox integration AI is not good yet, which is why I would probably look to migrate it. That is just me. Let's actually use AI to plan a holiday because I think that can be really super useful. But I am going to show you a couple of really, I think, useful tips when it comes to using AI to design your life. Um, the first one, and it's actually something I'm going to send out to you guys afterwards, is I think it's very, very important before you start using AI to really know yourself. And the reason I think this is really important is because AI will start to colonize and homogenize unless you are very strong and have a creative direction that you're using with it. And so, what I teach people to do is actually to put together a bit of I call it a human user guide, essentially. It takes you through a series of questions. So, your human user manual will basically get you to really understand yourself before you start using AI. I mean, I'll get to why this is important for planning holidays in a second. But, and like I said, you guys get this, so it's really exciting. The first part of it is I do believe that AI represents one of the greatest opportunities, but also one of the greatest risks when it comes to humanity. There is a risk of the great flattening, as I like to call it. We could very much all end up spitting out ChatGPT styles of things that just have the same long M dashes and like the same words and all that sort of stuff. So I think distilling your unique value proposition and your creative direction are two of the most important things that any human can do right now. And what I mean by that is who the hell are you? Why are you weird and wonderful? What makes you you? What are the words that you like to use? What are some of the things that you say or do or create or whatever that sort of is that makes you unique? Once you've kind of got that, and I do encourage you to look at Pinterest and create a bit of a vision for your life as well, you can then really distill down what's your unique value, like who are you, why are you special, and also that idea of like your voice, your tone, all of those sorts of wonderful things. I am looking forward to, and I reckon we're pretty close. I reckon Pinterest will bring out a pretty cool AI tool soon. Um, it hasn't yet, but my spidey sense is that it's going to happen. Mm. So I've been using Pinterest to really like distill visuals recently. I actually created a new creative direction for myself recently, and I'd encourage you to do the same. Jump onto Pinterest, free account, start pinning stuff that like makes you feel something. And I don't mean makes you feel something because you think it's cool. I mean, makes you feel something because it literally lights up the neurons in your brain and gives you dopamine because it's something that you like. Like, what are your preferences? What are the colors that bring you joy? What are the textures, the senses, the things that kind of like light you up? I mean, I don't know if my house is ever going to look like this, but I hope so, maybe. When I did this, it was about just getting a real like sense of excitement and energy for a look, for a feel. And it's funny, Janine, it is easier to describe through imagery versus words. And as someone who has aphantasia, so I don't see pictures in my brain, um, imagery is everything for me. It is really my way of like prototyping and being able to see realness in the real world. And so often when people are like creating a creative direction or a brand direction or distilling like who am I and what do I like, they are trying to use words when maybe words aren't right. So if you want, put tastes. You could have a whole board of like flavors of food that you absolutely love. And you could be like the food of me, and then you could have like the experiences that I've loved, and you could have the experiences that you've loved. I've got on my phone a folder called My Reality Board. And my reality board is full of all the best things that I love about my life. It's different than a vision board because it's not aspirational, it's actually harvested. It's things that I absolutely love. Now, why that's important is once I've got this idea of like stuff I love, my preferences, the things that light me up, the things that really bring me joy, I've then got this really good understanding of like my human user manual, right? So Sarah's user manual has this vibe. It's fun. It's creative. So if I was going to go in and actually, let's just try this for a bit of fun. If I was going to go in and use GPT to plan a holiday, like why wouldn't I give it a little bit more vibe? Why wouldn't I actually say, why wouldn't I like give it a creative direction? Using this as inspiration, plan me a solo adventure for a week somewhere in the world. See where it takes me. This is going to take me somewhere totally different than if someone said, "Oh, Sarah, you should go here," or "There's a sale on there," or "There's sort of something happening." So it's like actually, and this is what I absolutely love about these GPTs and these AI, it's taken the visual and started to distill it. So it's already said this Pinterest board is dreamy color, whimsy, playfulness. I've got three words that describe my new creative direction without me even saying what's the creative direction of this brand that I've just put in. So by the way, that's a massive hack because from a design perspective, that can be one of the hardest things to actually do is to get the like descriptive words of the brand that you're seeking to create. So like make a Pinterest board, pop it in, say, please describe to me what is this creative direction? And it's going to give you so much richness for you to use. And the richness is important because these words that you use are going to change the way that you interact with the AI. The AI is going to give you completely different outcomes if you're using descriptive words that are different to the everyday. Instead of just plan me a holiday, using this as inspiration, plan me a solo adventure for a week. Well, it's going to potentially take me to Cinque Terre. I'm going to go to Florence and then check out the art, do a Tuscany balloon and village. Oh, look, I'm going to go on a hot air balloon over Tuscany. That looks quite nice. Little pool and neon nights, even giving me a hotel recommendation, the Porto Rocca Hotel. Oh my God, there's an infinity pool overlooking the sea. I need to see this. Oh, of course. Look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? This is adorable, right? Vibe checklist. Bright bougainvillea pastel facades, glittering jewelry and artisan, hot air balloons, poolside pattern tiles, neon and whimsy. If you just type into GPT, help me plan a holiday, it's going to give you a totally different steer. What I'm trying to demonstrate with you here is that you can use mixed medium to actually get a better outcome. You can use photos, you can use voice. When you actually pick up GPT and put this little microphone on and dictate, you can actually talk to it and give it all the download, like all the detail of the thing that you're seeking to create. I had a big download to GPT the other day because I was like, oh, we're in a bit of a stressful time. We're juggling a lot. I'm not really sure what I need to kind of focus on right now. And it actually helped me see that I'd given up my meal planning, and that meal planning is a really important thing in my house and my life because I need equal parenting because we have so many children and so much going on. And so I rang up my husband and said, we forgot to meal plan. It's all just fallen back onto me as the default parent. Let's rejig that." And he cooked the most amazing nachos last night, guys. So that was all thanks to GPT giving me the steer to have the conversation to take it into that place, which was really super useful. So I'm just going to go back now to our deep search and see what we've got in terms of that research that we were running. So it gives us some key points here, which is in line with the research that I've done in the past. There is a slight difference in male and female brain matter in the way that it actually evolves, particularly during perimenopause and andropause, which is super fascinating. Um, and there's also really interesting studies around how people's memory starts to get impacted, but it's not that you're losing your memory, it's just that you're reshaping it. And so, actually, what I found in my research, and I've been researching this now for about 18 months, is that our middle age is like our brain's big rebuild. It's like going through a big when you like go through what's that thing called when this is like literally life imitating art right now because I can't remember it. A renovation. It's what my brain's doing right now, and it's what some of your brains are doing too. And in the renovation, it's deciding what does it need to keep, what does it need to get rid of, and how does it actually restructure to really serve that second chapter of your life. It could be called like a second puberty. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So you see here with all of the research, it actually links each of those. So you're actually getting the links. It's beautifully referenced. And then from here, it's got like nice little key takeouts, the key citations. Okay. So if I was to say that I wanted to create a book around that, actually, I could take that across to Claude and say, using this as a base. It's kind of wild, in the past, and I've written a couple of books. I would spend quite a lot of time, almost like in a PowerPoint, thinking about what I wanted to write, and then I'd think about the framing of the chapters, and I'd go through this sort of whole process. My first book took me 10 years. So, to be able to take some research and then pull it into another tool and to give yourself a frame to really start thinking about what that book would look like. It doesn't write it, but it will give you a really great, start. And as I said earlier, like using these tools as a starting point is really fantastic. It's a really great way to just get started and to try something a little bit different. One thing I do love to do though is if I've got research like this, I like to take it across to a little GPT that I coded called the bias check-in. You will have heard and seen on a lot of different news articles that, the GPTs are biased. Like there's a really fantastic documentary that I really, really encourage everyone to watch, and it's called Coded Bias. And it's by a phenomenally talented young lady, Joy, who actually noticed when she was doing her PhD that some of the AI tools were not recognizing her. And it was actually because she was an African American woman and they hadn't coded to actually recognize brown women's faces. And so she went on this amazing mission to really change that, and she has, and it's been really fantastic for her to kind of uncover that. But it's one of the things that I was thinking about is that, a lot of research, a lot of designers will actually do this kind of check-in to make sure that we're not getting biased on things. So I'll just pop that into my bias checker, and that will just let me know if I've started already to go down a little bit of um, you know, a tangent, if you like. So it'll do like a quick generalization pulse check. I love this. And that would then take me down a completely different angle because I'd go, oh, hang on, I do need to do a bit more research here. Stopping as you create is going to make sure that you don't just blindly publish stuff that AI is giving you. Now, I've seen a lot of people start to use AI, become very prolific, and actually introduce a lot of neurological debt. Neurological debt is similar to tech debt. In an organization, when you introduce too many tools and you're not actually using them to their full capacity, you introduce tech debt. You introduce subscriptions and things that people don't necessarily use. Neurological debt works the same way. It's basically you've kind of connected half a little bit with an idea, with a thought, with a something, and then you've started talking about it, but you haven't necessarily fully connected with the thing yet. Again, this brings it back to why I think doing the human user manual first is really important because it helps you just start with what do I actually know? Who am I? Where am I at? It just starts with a much more grounded state of play, if you like. And it allows you to use the AI tool as more of a friend that can actually be a co-conspirator rather than over relying on it to do everything that you kind of need it to do. Now, I just mentioned that I had created this. So this is just a really simple GPT. It sounds like maybe Janine, you're one of the people who's playing with bots and things like that. One thing I love people to do is to create like just a friend, just to create their first GPT. So you may notice there, I just went to the GPTs here, and then here in the corner we've got two options there, my GPTs and create. And one thing that I want you to know is that you can use this in this create space. So you can just talk to it and say, this is what I want you to do. So your job is to do this, or you can be a bit more fancy and you can actually configure it. Just going to give you a quick example of the difference between one that I've kind of talked to and one that I've configured. So I created this She OS, a cyclical tool to help women understand their bodies a little bit better. That will also give them a bit of a life will check in for their age. And so at the actual back end of this one, if you look at the editing, what I've configured it to do is it's got an actual knowledge library, and it's got a couple of things that I've turned off. So I've turned off web search, and I've also made sure that it checks in on the age of the person before it jumps right in, because obviously women at different ages are going to have different stages. So it sort of meets the user where they're at before it kind of takes them on a bit of a journey. Another example of one would be, actually, I'll show you my absolute favorite. I've got a couple. This one's pretty good. Actually, no, I'll show you my absolute favorite one. So, fun fact, I'm a qualified hypnotherapist. Mm, So I have coded a couple of these to be almost like in your pocket little helpers when you get a bit stuck. So this one, I, I had so much fun creating this one. This one I call Lead to Gold. And basically it's a stepped out process to take you through when you feel stuck, when you need to transmute something that maybe has you a little bit blocked in your life. And I liked the idea of the CERN um, lead to gold alchemy process that they actually have. It's a scientific process where they accelerate particles and they get the particles to rub up against one another. And in doing so, they actually create an alchemy and they actually pull gold from the lead. And I thought, isn't that an interesting thing to think about some of the things that we think are limiting for us or that we're stuck on? If we actually just took time to gently brush up against them and actually see that there's some good in whatever that thing is that we can't sort of let go of. And so this actually steps you through, um, an experience, which I'll send to you guys, limiting belief around my abundance. Let's just say that's often one that people come to me with. Oh, I can't get past my abundance. I want more money. And so it'll step you through and then gently take you through like step one, step two, step three, step four. So this one, as I said, if you go into the back end of this one, I've actually programmed it to make sure that it doesn't get ahead of itself. So when you configure it, it's configured more like a user experience that has it's been carefully coded to say move slowly through the transformation process, especially when working with the lead. Should ask one focused question at a time, offer a relevant scientific or metaphorical insight, blah, blah, blah. So it's like quite specific in terms of its instruction to make sure that it doesn't skip ahead. Because what I did find when I started coding these to begin with was that they were like me when I haven't had any ADHD medication. They were like, info dump, excitement, excitement. Let's just like run, run, run. And it was like, whoa, Nelly, let's just like slow this all down. So when you are playing with them, just find the nuance, like actually say a little bit more like this or a little bit more like that. And taking the time to give it that sort of feedback is just absolutely phenomenal. So I took that little book before, um, and that, gave us a little bit of an idea, which I think is quite sort of nice. What I might do now though is just take that back to GPT for a second and say, turn this into a keynote presentation. I actually have been asked to present next week at the CommBank Women in Focus conference, and I'm teaching people the user manual for AI because I just think it's such a phenomenal place to start. It's very human-centered. Let's use AI to get to know ourselves, and then we can use AI to actually do better work. Um, but this one would be interesting. Let's just say I've just been asked to do a keynote. I would take something like this across to, I'll just say, make it ready for Gamma. Now it knows this because I've done it a few times now, but okay, cool. We'll just take that across here. You can see here, I've used this quite a bit. I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago around neuro-inclusive design, and I actually created a toolkit for all of the teachers that came to my presentation, and I popped that in and it was ready in 10 minutes, which was pretty cool. But the other cool thing, which was very nice, and it was live, was that I actually recorded the session. And so in the morning, I put it into GPT, said, create a little summary of the session that we've just had, and then showed them as they came back from their morning tea what we'd covered in the first part of the session. And they were completely mind blown. It was absolutely not what they were expecting. Um, and I'll just show you how easy that is to do so you can see how quickly you could do that if you had a presentation that you needed to quickly get together. And you've all had that time where you thought, oh my God, I wish I could just have someone just create that presentation for me. I find this is really useful as well when I'm wanting to think about a process or a use case that I'm actually wanting to solve for. So, I gave you the example of the guy taking the photo of the lounge room, my husband taking a photo of the fridge. Um, the other day I've had a lot of sick kids home recently, and they get really bored, and so we actually put into AI. We've got kids home, help us design a wonder school day. This is how old they are, this is what they're interested in. And they created all these worksheets and we were able to have a super, super aligned experience, which was fantastic. Um, So they're just simple kind of use cases, but then for us, taking it across to Gamma and making it visual can be a really simple, neat way to actually see, is that what I meant? This is the idea of prototyping. It's actually making it visual. And you can see how quickly this can happen. So look at this. We've got the middle-aged brain, understanding cognitive change from 40 to 60, science of change, the gap in the research. Cool. That's so cool to see that. The brain you build between 40 and 60 is the one you'll live with for the rest of your life. Well, gosh darn, that could be a catchphrase, couldn't it? The common experience, old versus new, the hormone reason. This is just ridiculous, right? Like, look at that. And you know what I can do now? I can faff around if I want with the pictures and make sure that it kind of looks how I would want it to look. But actually, to be honest, it's already looking pretty good. So I can play with the themes. And then one thing I can do is I can actually export that if I want to PowerPoint, which is great. And if I do have my own kind of brand kit that I like to do things in, which I do, I can just really easily take that across to Canva once that's downloaded, upload it, and now Canva's got some really, really great AI tools that help you very quickly get something pretty on brand. Again, this is why I bang on and on and on about, oh my goodness.